I would expect that Rick Tocchet's pretty choked right now. This was a chance for Vancouver to eliminate a team that there were all these question marks coming into today. What's going on with the Oilers and what's happened? Well, tonight the Oilers answered all of the questions, and now those questions are going to transfer to Vancouver. And for as well as some of the key players played for Vancouver in the last game, this was not their game. And I knew pretty early on in this game that we're going back to Vancouver for Game 7. And if the Canucks don't come out a hell of a lot more prepared than they were tonight, I don't see them knocking out the Oilers. I think we're going to see the Oilers and the Dallas Stars against each other for... Man, we haven't seen the Oilers and Dallas play each other, I don't think, in for a very, very long time. That'd make for an interesting series preview because they used to play each other a lot in the playoffs back in the late 90s. But for Vancouver, it just wasn't there. And it's weird with this team because right out of the gate, you can tell when they don't have it. There's just, I watched the games with my wife during the playoffs, and I just turned to go, yeah, they just don't have it today, do they? And nope. And you can tell. And it is frustrating as a Canuck fan to watch. So I can only imagine how tough it is for Rick Tocchet to watch this tonight. And I would expect some kind of changes for the next game. So with Shelovs versus Skinner, I'm also going to say I think Shelovs needs a rest. I think it's time to either go to DeSmith for Game 7 or maybe Demko will be back. The way that Tocchet's been talking about it, I don't think Demko's coming back. I don't think Demko's coming back for Game 7 just because of the way it's been talked about. However, it is the playoffs, and you don't want to give the other team any kind of tips. So maybe that's just one of those, mind game kind of things. So the teams trade turnovers to start. It was kind of a sloppy beginning. The Oilers press, some near misses early. Draisaitl fires one wide on a rush. There's a power play for the Canucks. Early clear and another. The Canucks cycle. Besser has a shot that's held. There's some pushing. That shot didn't qualify as a shot on net. Hughes has a shot that's blocked and cleared. And another clear ends it. No shots on net for the Vancouver Canucks power play. Both power plays tonight, not great. So the Oilers had the only shot on net 4 minutes in. Garland can't bury one in close as the Canucks press. The teams trade rushes. The Oilers press at 5.5 minutes. Bouchard fires one wide. Hyman has a rush chance. That's held. Podkolzin has a net feed that's picked off. And then at 8:17 on a net drive, Holloway buries one. 5-hole. Draisaitl and Bouchard with the assists. So Draisaitl, remarkable game tonight. He's now at 100 points in his career in the playoffs. And so, yeah, we got the Shelovs chance. Had nothing to do with him having a rough game. I really do think he's played 9 playoff games in a row now. And I think that, yeah, it's definitely time, I think, to make a change. We'll see what they do. Bluger fires one wide. The Oilers rush. And then at 10:02 on the nice pass by Pettersson. Pettersson sets this up. Hoglander scores from Pettersson and Hronik at 10:02. Burying it in close. Then the Oilers press to respond. McDavid has a net feed that's held. Suter misses one wide on an open net. Bouchard fires one wide on a rush. There's an offensive zone penalty for McDavid. There's an early clear and another. The Canucks again struggle to set up on their power play. They cycle late. The power play's killed off. No shots on net. And I think what was really just, getting at me tonight with the Canucks, that sense of urgency should be there when you're trying to put a team away. That sense of urgency was there from the Oilers. They played like there was no tomorrow. The Canucks didn't. Canucks came out. It was, again, a game where they played like a regular season. It really had that regular season feel in the way they were playing. So, after that, so we get killed off without a shot. Pressed by the Canucks with 5 minutes left. Draisaitl fans on a dangerous opportunity. Lindholm has a rush chance that's held. Hughes to Besser gets picked off. Holloway has a wrister that's held. The shots were low, and they're still low. I don't know how accurate these shots are. Like, to me, it just seems like they're way too low. Like, there were more chances saved by goalies than credited shots. But anyways, the Oilers press to close it out, and then they score, but it's waved off for goalie interference right before the horn. The Oilers do not challenge. So the Canucks are fortunate. It's 1-1 after 1. It probably should have been 2-1 after 1, but it's 1-1 after 1. Second period, back-to-back icings for the Canucks to start. Not a great start. And again, you're on the road. You want to dictate the play. You want to put the Oilers on the defensive. Oiler fans are ready to turn on Stuart Skinner, and you're not testing him. Much like the last game in Edmonton, 4 shots in the first period. You are letting the goaltender off the hook. So pressed by the Canucks, but they're kept to the outside. The teams trade turnovers. We have a power play for the Oilers. Zadorov to the box. They cycle. Hyman can't bury one. There's more cycling. A failed clear. Draisaitl has a shot that's saved. The fans call one. The referee doesn't as the Canucks clear. McDavid to Bouchard gets picked off. Soucy has a clear that ends it. Just the one shot on net for the Oilers power play. Again, the power plays were not effective tonight. McLeod has a rush chance that's blocked. The shots are 3-0 Oilers at 5 minutes. Hughes has a screenshot that's held. Fogle then has a net drive that's blocked. The teams exchange rushes. Hyman's denied, and then he isn't. And really, I thought it was poor defensive coverage by the Canucks as well as a good cycle. Hyman gets one from McDavid and Nugent Hopkins to put the Oilers in the lead, and that's where they would stay. The Canucks just did not have it to come back and tie it. So the Oilers look for another. We get a chance for Shelovs, because sure. Shots are 7-1 for the Oilers at 8 minutes. Canucks are just flat. The Oilers are pressing for another. Canucks are forced to ice it. Hronek then has a rush chance that's saved. Ekholm's denied on a rush. The Oilers press after. The teams trade rushes. And then Bouchard goes posting in. He scores from McDavid and Nugent Hopkins at 11-19. And I wrote right next to it, we're headed to Game 7. It's a 3-1 lead. The Canucks have nothing. There's just the pushback, that fight that you're looking for from this team. It just wasn't there. So again, Tocchet has to be frustrated. So that's 3 goals for the Oilers. At this point in the game, 11-19 into the second period, the Canucks have 6 shots. 6. That's it. So Stuart Skinner didn't really have to worry about making all kinds of tough saves, and they gave him almost the night off, really. Skinner almost gets the night off tonight from the Canucks, which is nice of them, really. It's very, very gracious of them to do that and give him his confidence back. The Oilers press with 8 minutes left. Joshua has a shot deflects wide as the Canucks get some pressure. The Oilers then go to the power play. It felt like they could put it out of reach. Then it becomes 55 seconds of 5-on-3. The Canucks are really unraveling at this point, but the Canucks do manage to kill it. There were 2 shots during the 5-on-3/5-on-4, the overlapping power plays. But then the Canucks are icing it. Miller has a rush chance that's held with 2:16 left. The Canucks get a power play. So this is where you want to see, if you're a Canuck fan, that momentum and them building it up. Canucks struggle to set up, and then they get 56 seconds of 5-on-3 because the Oilers get a 2-minute on the ice penalty. The Canucks have a chance to get back into it. They call a timeout. Whatever they discussed, it doesn't matter. Hughes has a shot that deflects out. They have 48 seconds left in the power play to start the third period with the Oilers ahead 3-1. The Oilers finished the kill, and there really wasn't much to that power play for Vancouver. They go 0 for 4 tonight. It's an issue. The Oilers press at the 1-minute mark. Draisaitl has a 2-on-1 chance that's held. Garland has a shot that's held. There's some pushing. And then after a turnover, Nugent Hopkins buries one in close. McDavid and Bouchard with the assists at 3:24. The Oilers press for another. Canucks are just flat. The shots are 3-1 for Edmonton at 5 minutes. Again, the Oilers showing that desperate hockey. They wanted this game today. They were not going away. They were not being denied. But the Canucks didn't really do a lot to deny them this chance to come back. And there's almost no offensive push for them. The We Want the Cup chance gets started. This, I will say, they have to go through 2 more teams and a Game 7 before the Stanley Cup goes to Edmonton. I admire the moxie. It's the first fan base that I've seen that's chanting We Want the Cup during a playoff game. We'll see how that all goes. I remember Boston chanting that before the season was over last year, which was beyond ridiculous, and considering they went out in the first round, a little bit presumptuous. But anyways, Draisaitl has a rush that's defended. The Oilers press at 7.5 minutes. Halfway through the period, the Canucks have 2 shots. Myers has a screenshot that's saved. Miller has a shot that's held. It was the first decent press by the Canucks in about 40 minutes of hockey. And they don't generate very many shots. Like, I don't take very many notes in the third period because there really wasn't much for me to add. The Canucks aren't getting shots when they do get the zone time. The Oilers are keeping them to the outside. The Oilers are outworking them. They're faster than the Canucks and just look like the better team throughout most of this game. And again, more pressure by the Canucks, but they're not getting to the net. So then at 13:04, off a face-off win, Evander Kane buries one. Draisaitl with the assist. So that makes it 5-1. Hronek has a shot that's blocked as the Canucks press to respond. Things are punchy with 1:51 left. And the referee gives 4 guys an early night at the showers with 10-minute misconducts. So this game wasn't overly ugly. This game wasn't one that featured a whole lot of emotion. And it feels like when it gets really emotional and kind of a little bit ugly, that might be more towards the Canucks side of things. And if you're going to play a run-and-gun skill game with the Oilers, or let them do the run-and-gun skill game, which they did tonight, is what happens. Shots on net after the 5-1 win for the Oilers, 4 apiece in the first, 14-5 Edmonton in the second, and 9-6 Edmonton in the third. They outshoot Vancouver 27-15. Power plays, Vancouver 0 for 4. 15 shots. They had 4 power plays. And 5 on 3 for 56 seconds. The Oilers 0 for 3. They had a 5 on 3 for 55 seconds. They didn't need their power play. Hits 49 to 39 for Edmonton. So also impressive for Edmonton. They outshoot and outhit the Vancouver Canucks. Shilov's 22 saves on 27 shots. We'll see what they do with Game 7. I honestly would probably go with DeSmith if Demko's not ready. If Demko is near ready, I say throw him in, give him a chance. Skinner, 14 saves on 15 shots. So for the Oilers, they're 1 game away from going to the next round. The Canucks are 1 game away from going to the next round. And Game 7 will be upon us on Monday in Vancouver. And Vancouver's record in Game 7s, I may do a video on that tomorrow. I haven't decided. Only because it might be considered jinxing the team kind of thing. But yeah, Game 7 record. And maybe I can look at the Oilers' Game 7 record as well. But yeah, we'll see how things turn out. One of these teams is going to be the Canadian team going for a Stanley Cup, the last team standing for Canada. And I'm not thinking that if the Oilers win, that Flames and Canuck fans will be rooting for them. And if the Canucks win, I don't think Oiler or Flames fans will be rooting for them. And then fans of other Canadian teams are probably going to be, well, my team's not winning it, so I don't care. But anyways, let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. And yeah, the Canucks have got to be a hell of a lot better next game. This was a tough watch. Again, for me as a Canuck fan. If you're an Oiler fan, it was a great game. But for me, this was just right away. I was like, so they just don't have it tonight. Cool. And again, for Talkit, that has to be really frustrating because they really are a very Jekyll and Hyde team. It is tough. And this is kind of what we saw with them in the second half of the season. First half of the season, really strong run for the Canucks. Second half, not so much. Whereas the Oilers, pretty strong run throughout after Knobloch took over. And so we'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.